Yo, what is good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Media. This is Richie, and in this video, I'm going to give you guys the season recap for Julius Randle, and it's perfect timing for this video because Julius Randle just got named to the second All-NBA team, and that is a huge accolade for Julius Randle. He is now the most improved player and a part of the second All-NBA team, and my brand new City Edition Julius Randle jersey just came in the mail a couple of days ago. So everything's coming together for Julius Randle. I'm excited to break down his 2021 season in this video because there's a lot to get into, what he improved on the most because, hey, he's the most improved player in the NBA. So he improved on a lot of things if you compare his season this year to his first season with the New York Knicks. And we're going to talk about his playoff performance as well, what he needs to improve on when he gets back to the playoffs next year, hopefully. And yeah, all that good stuff. As you guys know, I just created this brand new series here on my channel. I broke down RJ Barrett in the first episode, so if you guys not checked that out, make sure you do so. And if you are not subscribed to Knicks Media, make sure you smash that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed the video, please do not forget to thumbs it up. And if you are not following me over on Instagram and Twitter, that is at NYKnicks_media. With that being said, let's jump right into the video. So basically in this series, I'm going to break down each player on the Knicks and talk about their season and go over their stats and compare them to the stats in their season prior to 2021. And Julius Randle, like I mentioned earlier, was indeed the most improved player. So if you look at his statistics from his first season with the Knicks compared to this year, it is astronomically different. And he improved on so many different parts of his game. Julius Randle has established himself, the future of the Knicks, in my opinion. I know that some Knicks fans lost faith in him just because of his playoff performance. And I'm going to get deep into my thoughts on what the Knicks should do with Julius Randle this offseason because there's a big question mark. Do we give him the extension now, or do we just pick up this option and just ride with Julius Randle and he's an unrestricted free agent next year and then we give him the extension then? Or is Julius Randle not even part of the future? My answer, if I'm the New York Knicks, I would give Julius Randle the extension this offseason because he would be given not the super max. He would be given like a max contract, which I think will be like 4 years, around $106 million in total. I could be wrong. That's not guaranteed. That's not the exact number. But if we do not give him that extension this year and say Julius Randle balls out all over again, then he'll be due the super max, which would be like 5 years, $200-something million, like crazy money. And I'm okay with the max contract that he's due to get this offseason if I'm the Knicks. Julius Randle showed me so much this year that he needs to get paid and he needs to be a long-term part of this New York Knicks team because a lot of people forget this man is 26 years old. He is a guy that's been in the league for quite some time, but he's 26, and he absolutely had his breakout season, and people forget what he did this regular season after the poor playoff performance. Like, you have to realize what he did to get us to the playoffs. Without Julius Randle's regular season performance, we would not even be in the playoffs. He absolutely led this team to the 4th seed. Obviously, there's a lot of other contributors like Derrick Rose and RJ Barrett and the coaching staff and, the depth of the New York Knicks. But Julius Randle's the head of the snake. He was the leader. He was leading this team to victory. He was the guy that was a lead by example. He was telling, all of his teammates what Kobe Bryant taught him to go to the gym and put in extra work, and his mentality and his work ethic is trickling down to the rest of the Knicks players. And he's just a guy that he won me over. And for those of you guys that watched my channel before the season started, and that's when I first created Knicks Media, I was one of those people that was not sold on Julius Randle yet. I didn't think that he had any long-term future with the New York Knicks based on his first year with the Knicks, and I'm completely okay with admitting that I was wrong. And I'm happy that Julius Randle proved everybody wrong, including myself. For those guys that did not read his Player Tribune article, he wrote about he understood that he let the city of New York down, and he wanted to come out there and prove us wrong, and that's exactly what he did. He showed me so much this season, whether it's his will to win, his passion for the game. He cares. Every single time I see him on the court, he's putting 110% effort out there. And for him to go out there and put his head down, go crazy in the offseason last year and come out and start shooting 40% from 3 and become a playmaker, average 24, 10, and 6, and shoot 40% from the three-point line, becoming the first Knick ever to put up those numbers, becoming the first Knick since Melo to be in the All-NBA team, for winning the most improved player. I don't know how you cannot want Julius Randle to be on this long-term Knicks team. I feel like he's going to learn from his playoff experience, and I'm going to get into that later on the video. But let's get right into his stats. So, starting off with Julius Randle's stats in his first year with the New York Knicks, he had 19.5 points per game, 9.7 rebounds per game, 3.1 assists shot 46% from the field and 27.7% from downtown. So this was 2019-2020 season, and this was his first year on the Knicks. This year was a little frustrating. Fizdale started off the year, then he got fired, and Randle was looked at to be the number one option right away because, as we know, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, everybody wanted him, and all the media was making it seem like it was a done deal, and then they choose Brooklyn, and then we have to pivot and go plan B, which was Julius Randle, to bring him in on a 3-year deal. And now Randle has a lot of pressure. He's going into New York City, and he has to prove to be a guy that can, contribute to winning. And that's not what he did. He had his first experience of being the number one option, and he's never been that. His whole time with the Los Angeles Lakers, he was part of a young core of, Lonzo Ball and Kuzma and Clarkson and all these guys. He was never the number one guy. And then he went to the Pelicans, and he was with Brandon Ingram, and he was with all these guys. He was never the number one option over there. Comes to the Knicks, he's the number one guy. And he was not ready for the moment, and he understood that. But he needed that year to learn what it's like to play in the city of New York, to get used to the media, to get used to the pressure, and to get used to the idea of running an offense and being the number one option and having the defense, the opponent's defense be the game plan against you. They're going to double team you. He was not used to that, and he used this experience to propel him to become the most improved player. Now look at his stats this season. It's absolutely insane. He averaged 24.1 points per game, 10.2 rebounds per game, 6.0 assists, shot 45.6% from the field, and 41.1% from downtown. These numbers are crazy. He improved all across the board besides the field goal percentage by 0.4 points. So anybody that's going to say it in the comments, it's okay. I'm totally fine with that. But Julius Randle, to put up these numbers after struggling in year one with the Knicks, it proves that he has the ability to get better and better, and he has the work ethic to be great. He has the will to be a player that is going to be a very good one in this league, in my opinion. I always felt like this season was the year where Kobe Bryant was living within Julius Randle, because as we know, Randle was drafted by the Lakers and he was mentored by Kobe Bryant. And if you read his Players Tribune article, he would not stop mentioning how much of an impact Kobe Bryant made on his life and his career. He now meditates before games, meditates every single day. That's from Kobe Bryant, and I just feel like he has that, Kobe spirit within him. And he took his work ethic where every single time he lands in an away arena, he goes straight to the gym and puts up extra shots. And that's what I love about Julius. He's a workaholic. He's somebody that is going to put in the work, and that's something that you want to see from your number one option for the New York Knicks. These stats are just absolutely insane. In year one with the Knicks, I never really liked that he was trying to be a point forward. I never thought he had it in him. I got frustrated when he brought the ball up. This season was the opposite. He became the point forward. He averaged 6 assists per game. He had a bunch of triple doubles this season, and he also improved the shooting. So let's get right into what exactly Julius Randle improved on his game. So the first thing is his three-point shooting. Obviously went from 27.7% from three-point land to 41.1%. That's the crazy jump. That's a historic jump, actually. And it's not like he just shot a couple threes and they went in. He was a volume shooter. He shot at least 4 or 5 three-pointers every single game. And it's not even like he was just doing catch and shoot three-pointers. He was, sidestepping, step back, contested threes, putting up fadeaways, and nailing them at a high rate. Like, Julius Randle was nailing shots where I was head scratching. I'm like, what the hell am I watching? Where did this guy come from? I cannot believe what I'm witnessing right now. Julius Randle is an absolute god. He won me over in the first week of the season last year. Another thing he improved on is creating his own jump shot. This is something I never thought Julius really had in him. He can, when he has the ball in his hand, he kind of has a little mellow in him. And if you guys know that Julius Randle actually studies Carmelo Anthony film, for those guys that don't know that, he's actually mentioned it. And if you go rewatch some Randle highlights, you can see some Melo in him, a lefty version of Melo. When he has the ball on the baseline, the mid-range, he does a little jab step, sizes people up, his footwork, and then he just pulls up from mid-range, hand in the face, drills it. And I just love that he can create his own jump shot off the dribble, because that's something you need to be able to do if you're the number one option. Because when you're the number one option on a team, you need to create your own shot. You cannot be dependent on other players to set you up. And I'm going to get into later in the video about Randle being the number one option. Trust me, I know some people, including myself, don't think that he could be the number one option on a championship team, but he was the number one option this season. Another thing he improved on was playmaking. He went up from 3.1 assists per game in his first season with the Knicks up to 6 assists per game. So that's double the amount that he had. That is a huge aspect. He led the team in assists. He was the point forward. He was the guy that was facilitating the rock. He would drive into the cup, dish it out to Reggie Bullock for 3, or RJ or Quickly, Derrick Rose, whoever was out there in the corner on the wing, he always found them, or even dishing it down low. Randle's passing ability was something that I don't think anybody really expected to evolve his game this much. To jump from 3 assists to 6 assists in one season usually is a little gradual incline. Like maybe he would do 3 and then 4, 5, 6, but he went from 3 to 6. Like that's a huge gap. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but guys, that is a huge deal. Another thing he improved on is his quickness. He went in the offseason, lost a lot of weight, and became more explosive off the dribble. He evolved his game from a power guy down low to a guy that can, explode off the dribble, drive to the cup, and beat you with his speed, which is awesome to see. And that tells you the type of work that he put in the offseason. Another thing that he improved on is leadership. He was a lead by example type of guy. He was the head of the snake. He was the guy that every single player on the Knicks looked up to and say, yeah, I want to model my game after him. I want to have that work ethic. I want to put in the work like him. And that's exactly what he did. Tom Thibodeau always raved about his mentality and his work ethic because that trickled down to all the rest of the players. Another thing he improved on is his mid-range game. That goes with creating his own jump shot. At the mid-range, he was absolutely money. His number one spot was the baseline. He would always camp on that baseline and nail those shots. And it was absolutely awesome to watch because he would hit them at a high rate. And then the last thing he improved on is defense. His defense definitely looked like an improved player. I know Tom Thibodeau and the coaching staff had a lot to do with that, but Randle really played 100% on the defensive end almost every single possession, in my opinion. I feel like he did a great job on ball defense. He's not the greatest defender in the world, but all you need to do to play good defense in this league is have effort and play with a team, spirit, and that's exactly what he did. Now, there's some things I want Randle to improve on, and that is his playoff performance. Obviously, that is the one thing that we're going to remember about this season for Julius Randle is he had a historic regular season, and then the playoffs, he absolutely stunk it up. Could not get his shot to go, turning the ball over like crazy. And I think a lot of that has to do with the Atlanta Hawks defensive game plan because they were just all over him. They were not letting him get to his spots, and Randle needs to adjust to that and, go to his strengths and, adapt on the fly, and Randle did not do that. So what my take on Julius Randle in the playoffs is, if you remember, year 1 with the Knicks, he struggled. Year 2 with the Knicks, he absolutely went off. Now, this was his first ever playoff performance of his career. Now, I feel like Julius Randle is going to look back at the film, look back and learn from this experience. He knows what to expect going into the playoffs. It's not going to be like a shell shock like it was this season. And he's going to, next time we're in the playoffs, hopefully next season, he's going to have a great playoff performance, in my opinion. He just needs to, hone in on his strengths and not let the defensive game plan get to his head. I feel like the Hawks did not let him get to his spots. Clint Capella was shadowing on the baseline. Like I said, Randle was eating on the baseline all season. And whenever Randle got the ball in his usual spot, there was someone shadowing him, there was someone doubling him, and he was rattled in the mind. He was not making the right reads. He was turning the ball over. It was really hard to watch. It was really hard to watch, actually. But I feel like Randle's going to learn from this experience and, propel his career in the playoffs for the Knicks in the future. And another thing that he needs to improve on is definitely turnovers. Even in the regular season, he averaged around 2 or 3 turnovers per game. That comes with being, the point forward and becoming a playmaker. He's not Chris Paul. He's not a point guard. He's going to turn the ball over, but that's definitely something I want him to clean up in the offseason or, throughout the regular season next year. Clean up the turnovers. Do not really try to force it too much. I know that he tries to do a little too much at times, but sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. So that's something I want to see him improve on. But man, Julius Randle deserves so much credit. Knicks fans, please do not give up on Randle. Just because of his playoff performance, do not do that. I genuinely believe Julius Randle could be a number 2 option or a number 3 option on a championship team. Maybe the playoffs proved that Randle cannot be that number 1 option on a championship team, and I think everybody already knew that. Like, watching Randle this season absolutely flourish, we kind of had an understanding like, wow, this man made the All-Star team, most improved player, now the second All-NBA team. He's a guy that could be a very, very good number 2 or number 3 option. But when it comes to being the number 1 option, he just doesn't have the ability to elevate a team. When the game plan is all honed in on him, he crumbles. And that's okay. Like, it's not a negative thing to not be a number 1 option. Like, how hard it is to be that. So if we can bring in another superstar somehow, I don't know who. I'll make videos about it in the future. Don't you guys worry. But if we can bring in another superstar, another couple stars, and Randle can be the 2 or 3 option, that will be huge for him, because then the game plan will not be all about him. It will open the floor up. He will not be getting double teamed as much, and his game will go to absolute another level. And I feel like Randle's going to become even better next season. So that's really my thoughts on Julius Randle. I broke down his stats last year and his stats this season, what he improved on the most, what he needs to improve on next season, and my overall appreciation for Randle, because what he did for the New York Knicks is bring him back to the playoffs, put him back on the map, put him on, like we here, bring up that motto. So Randle, Knicks fans, we appreciate you. Thank you for everything you've done with the New York Knicks. Hopefully you are a Knick for a long time. You absolutely sold me on being here long term. Comment down below your thoughts on Julius Randle. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And also comment down below a Statue of Liberty emoji if you guys stayed until the end of the video. That is it for this one. Stay tuned for more. Let's go Knicks. Peace.